Sonic Adventure is an insanely ambitious game. In 1998, on hardware that is significantly less capable than the phone you carry around in your pocket, Sonic Team set out to make a fully 3D platformer with 6 different gameplay styles, cinematic action set pieces, 2 racing minigames, and an astonishingly complex pet raising simulator. It is arguably more ambitious in scope than any game Sonic Team has made before or since. And while the fruits of that ambition certainly wowed me when I played the game for the first time almost 20 years ago, the thing I think about when I remember Sonic Adventure is this. And by this, I don't just mean this particular vista, I mean the adventure fields, the freely explorable hub worlds that connect Sonic Adventure's 11 action stages. If you're unfamiliar with the game and you go back to play it today, I doubt you will be particularly impressed with what's on offer in these hub worlds, especially in an age where exploration-focused open-world games are the norm rather than the exception. In the most uncharitable read, these hub worlds are just padding between the real meat of the game, the action stages. And if you just read a summary of what you have to do in these hub worlds to progress each story, I wouldn't blame you for walking away with that assumption. There's a lot of take this rock from here to there and do this clunky tutorial to learn how to use this new ability. There's a reason why the removal of these hub worlds in the game's sequel is generally agreed to be an improvement by both fans and critics alike. But I think that sentiment is missing the big picture. When I reflect on these spaces, I am not thinking about the sublime experience of watching the ice stone slowly float into its supernaturally designated hole. I am thinking about how they gave me a space to move around as Sonic, or Tails, or Knuckles, or whoever else, without the burden of needing to accomplish an explicit goal. Don't get me wrong, I love, and for the most part still love, the game's action stages, but the minute-to-minute gameplay of Sonic Adventure, and most Sonic games for that matter, is full of frantic, fast-paced action. Especially when I was a child, locking in took a lot out of me, even though I was having fun. So having these built-in pace breakers, these places with mellow vibes where nothing is really asked of you and nothing really needs to be done, worked to the benefit of the holistic experience. The fact that these spaces were full of totally optional interactions, from collectible emblems that you could find by playing around with the character's moveset, to strange but endearing NPCs with personal dramas and labor struggles, all the way down to the ability to just show up to Angel Island at sunset and just look at the view. It all created a uniquely satisfying ebb and flow to the game. It was fun to race through Speed Highway or shoot cannons on Skydeck, but it was also fun, just as fun in some cases, to chew the scenery, talk to some weirdos, and just hang out. It's impossible to not connect my affection for the adventure fields to my affection for Team Reptile's Bomb Rush Cyberfunk. Released in 2022 to well-deserved critical acclaim, Bomb Rush most clearly owes its stylistic heritage to Jet Set Radio, which was, like Sonic Adventure, a Dreamcast-era Sega project whose cultural legacy rests primarily on its vibes. In contrast to Sonic Adventure, though, where the hub worlds were merely a supplement to its action stages and boss fights, the 7 districts of Cyberpunk's New Amsterdam are where the meat of the game lies, and its more linear, traditionally gamey levels and boss fights are the side dish. It is, in essence, a game made up of adventure fields, except for the fact that, in Cyberpunk's case, the act of completing the required objectives and the act of goofing off and vibing don't look too different. When you're playing through the game's story mode, you're asked to go around and do cool shit on skateboards. When you're just aimlessly frolicking around in the game's maps, you're also just going around doing cool shit on skateboards. And that's the reason why, even after I beat Bomb Rush's 6-hour campaign, I kept going back to the game just for the joy of inhabiting its spaces, much like I did with Sonic Adventure all those years ago. It's not the case that I wasn't trying to do anything during these play sessions. I was trying to do cool stuff on skateboards and get longer and longer combos, but nothing was directing me to do so but my own instinct for what would be a cool thing to try. Like probably many of you, I'm a big fan of Dan Olson's Folding Ideas. In his video, Why It's Rude to Suck at Warcraft, he talks about the history of the World of Warcraft community and the way their relationship with the game has changed over time. In particular, he talks about the community's gradual shift away from free play, instinctual play as an end into itself, to instrumental play that is primarily intended to accomplish a specific objective. Olson is careful to outline that this dichotomy is a spectrum and not a binary, and I agree. When I play Bayonetta, I am partially just having fun slicing and dicing angels for its own sake, but I am also trying to get that coveted pure platinum medal. When I play Pyramid Cave in Sonic Adventure 2, it's fun to nail hairpin rail landings and jump through hoops, but I'm also trying to grind animals for the Chow Garden.
Don't worry, buddy.
Neither mode of play is bad, and in practice, both modes are usually present to some degree in the vast majority of gaming experiences. What I do think, however, is that there's a way that a disproportionate focus on instrumental play can warp one's experience with a game in such a way that it makes you lose sight of the important questions. Questions like, for example, am I actually having fun? The gacha game craze, and as of late literally just legalized gambling, represent instrumental play at its most oppressive. There's nothing about the experience of playing FanDuel that's inherently fun. The membrane of interaction with the game is purely an instrument by which you theoretically make money, or more realistically, lose all your money. These examples are of course pretty extreme, but you can see this insidious variety of instrumental play creeping its way into mainstream video games too. In The Sublime Beauty of Deathmatch, I talked about Fortnite and the way that its scientifically optimized labyrinth of checklists and battle pass rewards constantly work to distract you from the core gameplay loop. They represent a model of game design that assumes if there is no explicit objective to be achieved, or if the objective isn't being shuffled in and out every 5 seconds, that you'll immediately lose interest. That model has clearly been enormously successful for Fortnite, which is, as I said in that video, competing in the iPad baby attention market. But that model has also crept into almost every mainstream multiplayer game, and even a few single-player ones. And that's why games like Bomb Rush and Sonic Adventure, and their willingness to have these spaces that are optimized for little else other than vibing, mean so much to me. There's a profound confidence that games that focus primarily on free play have. They believe enough in their aesthetics and their mechanics that they're not afraid to lose you if they're not giving you 50 checklists a second. For each individual game, that confidence might be more or less warranted, but it's always admirable. And it's especially admirable in a world where the pressure to be like everyone else, the pressure to instrumentalize everything, is so ubiquitous. In Bomb Rush's pause menu, there's a spot labeled Objective that tells you what you need to do in order to progress the story. After you conquer every district, beat every gang, and finally go all city, all it says, and all it will ever say again, is hang out. When I reflect on these spaces, I am not thinking about the sublime experience of watching the ice stone slowly float into its supernaturally designated hole. I am thinking about